Friends, in February, we were thinking about our vision for the future. And last week, we looked at our vision for the whole church. And this week, we're thinking about how we can do pastoral care. And Jo's our pastoral care worker, and we're very thankful that she takes on that responsibility. So I thought I'd ask her a few questions about pastoral care. Jo, why do you think pastoral care is so important?
Oh, well, I think there's several reasons. And I guess I've tried to summarize them under three headings. Firstly, God says it is. Secondly, Jesus modeled it. And thirdly, life is challenging and people are hurting. So God says it is, all the way through the scriptures. There's lots of Old Testament references about shepherding and how poorly the Jewish leaders did so. And then in passages like Matthew 25, we're reminded that, what we do for others, visiting the sick, clothing the naked and so on, is actually what we're doing for Jesus. And if we don't do that, we're not doing those things for Jesus. James says, if we have faith but our deeds don't back it up, then our words are pretty meaningless. So I think for those reasons, God is saying that it is important. And as I said, Jesus modeled it. He was the good shepherd, the archetypal good shepherd. He cared for people, not just spiritually, but also physically, and met their emotional needs as well. And thirdly, life is challenging. People are hurting. I think even before COVID hit, many people were struggling with physical or mental illness, relationship difficulties, financial stresses, and those sorts of things. I think it's even harder now since COVID's hit. And I think as Christians and as a church, we have resources to help people in both spiritual and practical ways. And, we can support and encourage them. We can give biblical principles and prayer support, as well as practical help. So I think for all those reasons, pastoral care is important and very useful.
Right. So say, for example, someone needs to have 2 weeks of chemo at the hospital. How will we as a church provide them with pastoral care?
Okay, so I guess, there are practical needs within that, especially if that person has no family nearby. So, there may be ways that we can help with transport, meals, and we can liaise with the family if that's needed. We can also provide emotional and spiritual support. We can check in on them regularly, make sure that they're coping okay, and we can liaise with our ministers, with you and John, so that keep you in the loop, how things are going. If it is someone in crisis, say who needs a kind of urgent help, then we can appoint what we have been calling a point person to liaise with them, so that they're not being overrun with lots of inquiries at a difficult time. And of course, people are very well-meaning and want to know how someone's going, but it's helpful if we can kind of channel that through one person. I think the other way that we can be particularly helpful is through prayer support. We have a prayer chain, which is really a prayer network, and they are ready and keen and able to pray and want to do so. And so that's a really helpful way of undergirding people who are going through difficulties.
Yep, good. So as a church, we also want to equip people to help out with pastoral care. What sort of things are we planning as a church to do this year?
Okay, so we're planning to do a few short videos on specific issues and put them onto our Facebook page, and hopefully that'll be in a way that's kind of timely, when issues arise. We're going to do an online training session in June with Anna Moss, who is the Presbyterian women's ministry worker, and that's going to be on issues that arise from our families of origin and now have an impact on us. And, they're pretty significant. I certainly see a lot of that in my work. Anna's a great speaker. She's a very experienced family therapist, and I think it's going to be a really worthwhile session with her. Then in September, we're going to do a session on pornography. We're going to invite the youth group and their parents and anyone else who wants to come. Our speaker for that is Kamal Wirakun, who's a Prezi minister. He's also on the GS&C committee, which I'm part of, so I know him quite well, and he's a very good speaker. He's also spoken at our church camp, so some of you may have heard him there. And so that'll be on a Friday evening in September. And then the other thing that we're doing is John particularly has initiated a program to mentor the young women in the church, and it's kind of using a Titus 2 model. And so the older women, some of the older women have agreed to do that, and that's already started, and I've heard feedback already saying that it's been really valuable, and they really want to keep going with that. So they're the specific things we're looking at this year.
And older women, of course, could be 25, not just
Yes.
55 or 75. Yeah,
True.
But
true.
I won't say that they're older women. So
yes, that's right. Some of us might get insulted.
Yeah. Finally, if someone thought they would like to be involved in the pastoral care network of our church, what could they do, and how could they get started?
Sure. Look, I mean, there are lots of things that are kind of pastoral care under our umbrella of pastoral care. So, for example, visiting people who are shut in nursing homes or at home. It could be driving people to church or to medical appointments, that sort of thing. It could be taking meals to people in crises. It could be sort of helping with practical needs at home, like, mowing or handyman type things. Maybe taking meals, if there's a crisis or, a new baby in the household. And it could be just inviting someone out for coffee or a meal to have a chat and just sort of see how they're going. There are lots of different ways that you can do things. And, perhaps even hospital visiting, that sort of thing, if that's relevant. Although, as I said, we have to be a little bit careful about that we don't inundate people. But, I'd be very happy for people to get in touch with me if they would like to do any of those things. And, of course, you can get in touch with Stephen or John at any stage too, because they're very aware of all the pastoral care needs in the church.
Well, thanks, Jo. Hopefully that's whet the appetite for some people, made them think, and thanks for all the work you do with pastoral care too.
Yeah, that's a pleasure.